Reddit, what's your best funniest personal example of petty revenge? Posted this previously. My ex cheated with a married man. He now lives with her. He is a pose. But anyway. I still have login for her DVR. I logged in. Erased all her shows. Then recorded only the show Cheaters. Petty. But it makes me laugh. Edit. Additional info. I also set the show to be manually erased and stop recording 3 hours after the show's end time. A guy at work ed me off. I placed this Craigslist ad with his phone number. 2 free goats. Hablas Espinal. He spent the rest of the day getting calls every 15 minutes or so. Kid stole my water bottle. I opened it up and left it inside his backpack. When I was a kid I had a bedwetting problem. I am not ashamed of this now, as thousands of other kids have had the same problems. At the time however, this was humiliating. My younger brother started telling other kids around school how extensive the issue was. I was mortified. Even after our mother told him to knock it off. He continued. So I decided to level the playing field. The whole hand and cup of warm water deal didn't work. I stood over him as he slept one night and ate on him. The next morning, my mom was horrified and wound up taking a call from my grandmother. I don't know what to do. Now both of them are eyeing the bed. She explained. Clearly frustrated. After a few more times of framing my brother as a bedwetter, he completely stopped using my embarrassing problem as entertainment. This reminds me of South Park. Put his hand in a warm cup of water and then pee on him. Speeding up a co-worker's double click speed and watch him squirm when his normal double clicking speed isn't working. In 7th grade I used to take homemade lunch to school. We prepared our own salad dressing, lemon juice, salt, oil, etc. And one kid decided it would be good to steal it and drink it before lunchtime. I asked him not to, but he continued to drink it, but started doing so in one gulp, so I couldn't stop him. So instead of making a huge deal, I prepared 2 salad dressings. One that I would actually use on my salad, and another that had all the liquid condiments I could find in my mom's kitchen. It was really fun to see his face as he drank it. He never stole my salad dressing again. Edit. To answer some questions. It was a type of vinaigrette. As someone said below, it's nice to taste a little when preparing. As you can imagine, it wasn't the first time it had happened. And I had already asked him to stop. By then it was more of a "what are you going to do about it" rather than anything else. He got what he deserved. Who the decides it's a good idea to drink salad dressing? Obligatory, not me. But this is a little long, but one of my all-time favorites. In Texas, there is a law that allows the US to take certain possessions to satisfy a debt owed, such as from a lawsuit. So this defendant had been committing Medicare fraud. Got caught. Has to pay back the money. He's also a total prick during the lawsuit, obstructionist, rude, etc. When the US finally has its judgment and he's pleading poverty, the US attorney that ran the suit basically ends up walking through the impoverished guy's multi-million-dollar house to handpick what is going to be seized. He takes the big ticket items that he's allowed, but it's not going to be enough. So then he just starts taking little to the guy off. Book half read on the nightstand? Gone. Can't take the garage, but you can take the garage door opener. So, gone. I don't know what else he took, but I think the idea is brilliant. The book would me off so much. My favorite childhood story. So I was an AP kid, and had a bunch of AP friends, and also was in sports and theater. I had a large bunch of friends in nearly every cliche. Anyway, one day, one of my friends gets sucker punched in the halls by some dickwad. Because of the school's zero tolerance policy, getting sucker punched carries the same punishment as sucker punching. So my friend and the dickwad both got in school suspension. But only one of them was punched on the face. I thought that was a little bit unfair. So I got my friends together and they got their friends together. And every week, one of us would sucker punch Dick would. Every week, one of us would have ice. And so would Dick would. But since we are many, none of us went to ice twice. Dick would on the other hand missed so much class that he had to retake the grade. Guys swerved across 2 lanes on the highway one day and cut me up. I slammed on the anchors and gave a good indignant blow of my horn. He starts acting like Mr. Angry at being called out, so starts slamming on his brakes. Then speeding up if I try to overtake. Flipping me the bird. The whole caboodle. Seeing the next junction coming up, I flash my lights and start beckoning to him in classic "you want a piece of me?" mime. And mouthing "come on then." Then start pointing at the upcoming junction. He obviously believes I actually want to go somewhere quiet and sort it out like arseholes men. I swerve angrily into the exit lane and he follows suit. Finally I blow my horn and point at something on the junction, then, whilst he's distracted, swerve back out onto the main highway and speed up so I'm level with him so he can't get back over. He looks over in panic. I smile and blow him a kiss. The junction ends and he's stuck sailing off wherever the junction takes him. It's a 24-mile round trip to get back to here. Back in college, I was sitting in the library trying to work on an assignment. All was quiet for a while until this one obnoxious guy came in and sat at a table near me and proceeded to pull out his phone and have the loudest, most obnoxious conversation with one of his friends. Lots of "bro," "seriously bro," and yada yada. I was about to pack up my things and find somewhere else to work when the conversation turned to Netflix. The guy told his friend he should just use his account, and proceeded to loudly state his email address and password for all to hear. This was too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. So I promptly logged in and navigated to the LGBT section and started adding the gayest movies I could find to the top of the queue. I like to think that both guys ended up thinking the other one added the movies to the queue but were too shocked to ever say anything to each other. I once had a colleague I hated. He was very condescending and really arrogant. So I put an extra Bluetooth receiver in his computer for a computer mouse and kept the mouse in my drawer. I would just open my drawer and it would mess his right up. Kept it going for like 2 months. He was about to murder the world when I thought I better stop. Back when I was studying engineering, it occurred to me to try and find an app on my iPhone for those Panasonic projectors in lecture rooms. So I get the app and it just let me connect to the one in the class without a password or anything. I have a friend who is one of those perpetual pranksters. You can't leave your PC or bag or food drink unattended when he's around. So I beam a picture of him onto the projector. So the lecturer is just talking away and this goofy picture of my mate is on the screen. Lecturer doesn't realize yet. People in the lecture start waking up and giggling a bit. Now I use the pen function and draw a penis on the picture too. Mate was red in the face and trying to hide. Lecturer finally noticed and says, "Michael, why is there a picture of you on the screen?" Full stop. Finally, for a fleeting moment I actually recked that I had a 6-month school internship at a mobile phone store. The boss was a total asshole that treated his school interns like full paid workers. Even gave me some concerning money responsibilities. A while after the internship he called to tell me I would have to give a statement at court. He had a problem with some customer and a shipment and he planned to tell the court that he explained me everything concerning shippings precisely. Of course he didn't. And of course I didn't lie in front of the judge. My boss attorney gave me a look I will never forget when he realized his stupid plans didn't work out. Few weeks later my now ex-boss tried to call me again. I didn't pick up. This guy. On every email I send, I attach my name, company, position, etc. All the time people will respond, "Thank you, Sarah." But my name is spelled with the H. I have started to reply to them leaving off a letter of their name. "No problem, Renee, have a good day, John." They probably think I am an idiot. But it is worth it to me. When I was a kid I got the Sabrina the Teenage Witch handbook. It was full of kiddie experiences and stuff and was pretty fun. My older sister had upset or annoyed me about something. So I tried out one of the tricks from the book. You fill a cup with water and some corn kernels. Put some tin foil on top of the cup. The kernels eventually pop and it makes noise against the tin foil. I put it under her bed. It takes a few days to work. So I completely forgot about it. Until one night I woke up to my two sisters whispering. It had popped in the middle of the night and she thought there was a rat under her bed. Someone in my office would always crush lunches with his gigantic ass lunchbox. Either he ate bricks or lead. I don't know. But I always came to the office fridge and found that my lunch was in pieces. So, after 3 bouts of this, and numerous notes from myself and other colleagues, I carefully removed his lunchbox, emptied the contents, a gigantic sandwich, a Twinkie, chips, some vegetable pieces, and a few other bits, and ran over them with my car. I carefully packed it back in, and put it back. He kept his lunch in a cooler by his cube from then on. The obligatory RIP inbox. The also very obligatory thank you for the gold. My first. Just saying that you went to your car and started it just to flatten the lunch is what makes this truly great. When I was a kid, my younger brother and I would go for extra Mandarin lessons after school. Then we'd take the bus back. He would never press the bell for the bus to stop because he knew I'd freak out and press the bell rather than miss the stop. So, one day when he was sitting on the bus but in front of me, I made sure to get off the stop before ours. I laughed my ass off when I saw the bus miss not just our stop but disappear into the distance. Petty? Sure. But I was about 12. We were sitting by a pool once, and a woman stood over my wife and started spraying sunscreen all over herself and my wife. We asked her nicely to please move and she ignored us and kept spraying. When we left, I took one of her flip-flops with me. When I was about 13, I was snooping around my older brother's room and found a stack of $20 bills stashed away. He was saving up from his high school job to buy a car. Hundreds of dollars. To 13-year-old me it was a fortune. And I figured he wouldn't notice if I stole just $120, still a lot of money to me. So I did. For years I would remember it every once in a while and feel guilty. The worst part was, when I took the 20, he was also a teenage kid and probably knew exactly how much money was there. He probably knew I took one but let me get away with it because he figured I needed it. That made me feel much worse. 15 years later, I'm hanging around with him on the holidays. I see that he left his wallet on the counter. And he's upstairs. I sneak into his wallet. See there's a few 20s. And I slide an extra one in there. Got him. I was in a big meeting. 50 managers, supervisors, and 2 high-level guys made fun of my car, Subaru Outback, in their presentation. I had access to their personal info, phone, address, emails, and sent it to the Subaru sales group. Asking for a test drive etc. They got spammed pretty well for a while. Work related, my co-worker was always complaining and always lazy with his work. Yet he got recognition for the simplest thing he would actually do. He also took credit for a full day's work that was pretty much all me. I always got ignored. So one day, I came in early and I unplugged his Ethernet jack just barely to the point it looked like it was still plugged into his computer. For 4 hours he couldn't do any work. Meanwhile, I got my work done. And he couldn't take any credit for it since everyone knew he didn't have internet access. Halfway through the day, he left on break. I plugged it back in and bam. Just like this it was working. By then, he couldn't claim my work. And I begun to get noticed more. I was mad at my sister so I took her doll and rubbed a Twix bar in its ass and pulled up the doll's pants. When we were playing my doll was making fun of our doll for pooping her pants and she kept denying it. So my doll pulled her doll's pants down and sure enough there was the Twix. Edit. Made clearer the Twix was rubbed on doll's ass, not sister's. A guy owed me money. But I wasn't immediately worried because we had done transactions before. This was a transaction via USPS. He started dodging me, ignoring calls and messages and all, but stayed active on Facebook, just ignoring me and deleting my comments and posts. After 3 months, getting progressively more impatient, I had had enough. I got the notification to approve him as a member of a Facebook group I'm in. I approved him, then made a big post in the group putting him on blast for it. Tag and everything. I then added his mom and sister on Facebook and sent them messages. Mind you, the guy's in his 30s. He messaged me about it, and things are getting resolved. If it slips again, however, I'm calling his work. Working for Amazon and committing mail fraud probably don't go well together. Okay, this one is pretty gross. But growing up in a house of only girls, personal space does not exist. We used to bathe in front of each other, and even use the bathroom in front of each other. There are no boundaries. My younger sister was notorious for shaving in the tub and not rinsing it out when she was done. Pubes everywhere. One day she was taking a bath and I asked her to rinse when she was done, because I planned on taking a bath afterwards. She told me to off. So I reached in my pants, snipped off a chunk of pubes, tossed them in the tub with her, and walked out. Put up a Craigslist ad for a guy I couldn't stand. Free refrigerator. Runs great. Call between midnight and 4 AM. My boyfriend's uncle and 7-year-old cousin live upstairs from us. His cousin has a tendency to be a little brat. I was holding her Yorkie when she came over and yanked her from my arms. No more than 20 minutes later I went out and bought some dog treats. Every day when I come home I give the dog a treat. Now the dog waits by our door instead of hers. To a 7-year-old. I had a guy in school who would always skip class and then ask for my notes. We had a group project worth almost 40% of our grade and he did zero work. And the prof told me tough luck. Instead of just saying no the next time he asked for notes, I took the low road and began giving him edited versions. I would leave items out of lists, incorrectly define things, or just straight up write stuff that makes no sense. An example of the crap I would put in. To calculate return on investment, subtract your yearly earnings from your current bank balance. Then multiply by H's factorial. 4. 22. If he had even once bothered to crack the text he would have figured it out. But that apparently would have been too much effort for him. He retook that class. We used to have a dog door in the basement, and when we were little, we could climb through it. It was against the rules, but one day my little sister got her dress stuck and broke the frame getting out. She pinned it on me and I got in trouble for it. So I cut all the bristles off her Tunes toothbrush. Where I live you need to have a residence permit to park in our street. Costs like you a cute 20 a year at most. Next door neighbor's car breaks down outside our house. See, it has no permit. Parked really badly. But no big deal, we can get past. Few days later find a huge dog in our garden. Our garden is all closed off so a dog couldn't have just wandered in. Neighbors have a dog so nowhere else it could have come from. Must have thrown it over the fence. After that I called the local council about his car and he's now looking at a new acute 80+ fine for not having a permit. I put glitter in my friend's laundry in university. He had pranked me the week before. And a week later was doing all his laundry at once. I went and got some glitter from the craft store and put half a vial into each of his loads of laundry. He was fabulous for months afterwards. Went on holiday with friend and her family when we were in our early teens and had to share the room. It was a hot climate, and since we came from a relatively cold climate, we found the heat unbearable. Friend called dibs on the bed by the aircon. Then proceeds to take complete control of it. The room was a sauna and obviously I couldn't sleep. But she refused to turn up the AC because since she was right next to it she would get cold. By the third night in, after refusing my request to swap beds, I am beyond irritable due to sleep deprivation and she's inadvertently mocking me by sleeping soundly next to the barely functioning AC. So I turned that up full pelt while she was snoring away and had the best night's sleep thereafter. Woke up before her and turned it back down, so when she finally woke with a sore throat and the sniffles she agreed to swap beds with me. And I only slightly felt bad that she had a bit of a sore throat for the rest of the trip. Not me. But my aunt once found out that a boyfriend was cheating on her. Instead of confronting him, she wanted to get petty revenge. She knew where he kept his hideout key. So one day while he was at work she spent the whole day at his house. She rearranged all the furniture, brought the upstairs furniture downstairs and vice versa. She also took all the canned goods in his pantry, steamed off the labels, shuffled them, and put them back on at random. This included the canned dog food. Mother would think he was opening some super nope. Dog food. When she left she locked up, put the key back, and never spoke to him again. In 3rd grade I was falsely accused by the hall monitor of talking during quiet time. Even after my dad came in and talked to the teacher, she still punished me by keeping me from watching a movie and eating the cinnamon bread with everyone else. So the day before the class watched the movie and ate snacks. I unplugged the bread makers right before we left school so no one would get any. I figured if I can't have it, no one can. My least favorite college roommate was also one of my best friends. He was the drum set guy. Dude, I'd come on IT's 1 AM on Tuesday. No reprieve. He also invented knee hockey, which was street hockey. On your knees. In the hallway of our tiny condo type dorm. I bitched about it all the time. Bro, come on Jesus. He'd be all okay no problem and then go back to it. Anyway. One night he had a big important thing one morning. I grabbed a hockey stick and just slammed the out of his bedroom door. I slammed it until he had no choice but to get out of bed and be it off. He came storming out eventually and we wrestled on the ground for a while, but I feel like it was worth it. Edit. Turns out we're gay, I guess. A woman I work with literally stole this great story that I tell about me being in the same hospital at the same time that my niece was born. She tells it as it was her husband and she was in the hospital giving birth. She's a known one-upper. Everything you do she did it better. Faster. It was worse for her etc, so it didn't surprise me when a co-worker told me she regularly tells clients that story. So now, every single day as I get in I pour a tiny bit of my water bottle out on her desk, chair or on the carpet somewhere in her office. In my mind mold is slowly growing in her office. Her skirt gets wet when she sits down or any fresh documents she sits on her desk get sat right in the small puddle of water. Get some chia pet mix. Pour it along the hard to vacuum edges of her desk along the floor. Add water to that. Cheers. We had a guy in our office take a crap in the bathroom every day after lunch and it would stink up the whole office. The manager asked everyone who needed to vacate their bowels to please use the lobby bathroom since our office was small and we only had the one bathroom. He didn't listen. Fortunately, he was like clockwork, so 5 minutes before he went and I took all the toilet paper. That's right. I forced the man to live with a dirty ass. A drunk guy harassed me on the tube one night in my way home. About 2 minutes after his last tongue stuck up but he fell asleep. Deeply asleep. So I took out my lipstick, gorgeous coral color, and drew all over his face. Yes. I may also have been drunk. I think I was trying to read my book with one eye closed to help me focus. Yep. So I got off at Acton. And watched him snooze away down the Heathrow branch. Asshole. I hope he woke up with lipstick all over his pillowcase and read off misses. I had a boss whom I couldn't stand. One day, she banned microwave popcorn in the office because she hated the smell. About a month later, I bought one of those USB drives that has scented oil inside. Scented like buttered popcorn. I plugged it in on the side of her desktop. Took her 6 months to figure it out. My missus leaves tea bags in the sink so I put them in her wallet. This sounds like a very aggressive British thing to do. My wife is very picky about the mugs she has for different hot drinks. Tall mugs for coffee. Wide mugs for tea. Dainty cups for fruit teas. When she's being irritating and asks for a cuppa, she gets very plain, boring builder's mugs, and I delight at the mild irritation it brings. The most British thing I've ever read.